Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is a live question and answer period in regards to the transition into adulthood. We are going to go ahead and get started in just a few minutes. I just want to remind everyone that this is a question and answer time. I do not present any material tonight per se, so I'm relying on you to ask me questions. And the way you can do that is to look in your control panel, and there is a section that says questions, and you can click on that arrow and type your questions into the box, where then I'll be able to see them. So again, we will go ahead and get started in just a few minutes, see if more people come and join us. So yeah, go ahead and start asking questions in that box. Once again, thank you so much for joining me this evening. This is going to be a live question and answer time where you can ask any questions in regards to the transition into adulthood. And that includes, questions like SSI and Medicaid eligibility, DDD's eligibility criteria, questions about services, questions about guardianship. And so you can just click on the questions panel. Well, actually, it is the panel where you have to click on the questions drop down, and you can type your questions in that box, and in just a few minutes I will start going through those questions. So go ahead and type your questions in, and we'll get started in just another couple minutes. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and get started. I want to respect those of you who have arrived on time. Welcome to tonight's live question and answer webinar, where you get to ask your questions all about DDD enrollment and the steps to accessing services with DDD. My name is Trisha Bailey, and I'm the trainer as well as a support coordinator supervisor for Caregivers of New Jersey. Caregivers of New Jersey is an affiliate organization of the Family Resource Network, which is a comprehensive, family-focused umbrella of organizations designed to meet the growing need for community-based programs and services to individuals and families with a variety of disabilities and chronic conditions. FRN consists of 3 affiliate organizations, which you can see on this slide, and we're a statewide organization with offices located in East Windsor, New Jersey. We serve approximately 30,000 individuals every year. Now, specifically, Caregivers of New Jersey is actually dedicated to providing a central point of contact on caregiving issues, resulting in more effective information dissemination, increased support and awareness, and advocacy. We are also a leading support coordination agency that provides case management services for those who are eligible for DDD. We assist them by finding and accessing the programs, services, and resources that they need to support a successful adult life. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to just start reading through some of these questions. Again, if you're just joining us, you can ask questions by clicking on the questions drop-down box, typing your question, and it will appear right before me magically to where I could answer your questions. Okay, so the first question I am seeing here is, what's the next step after you receive a caseworker for DDD? So I am not sure if you are meaning, so when you submit your application to DDD, at some point in time, you will receive a phone call from one of their intake specialists. I don't know what their exact title is. That person will then let you know if you need to submit any additional paperwork, if they have questions, if things look like the individual is going to be eligible for DDD as your child is nearing that spring of graduation or nearing turning age 21, they will get in touch with you in regards to scheduling the NJCAT assessment. But if you're speaking then in regards to once you receive a support coordinator, a lot of people will refer to support coordinators as case managers or case workers. That really is what we do with support coordination. We do case management. So if you were asking in regards to that, the next step is typically you will receive a phone call from the support coordination agency. I know with our agency, we have an intake specialist who will give you a call, gather some of the basic information, ask some questions, but then you will get officially handed over to your assigned support coordinator, who will then reach out to you to schedule a time to come meet you and your child and start, preparing to write that individualized service plan, also known as the ISP. You'll start talking about potential services you're interested in, services you need versus services you want. And then your support coordinator, again, will work on approving that ISP and getting you connected to services you need. So I hope that answers your question. If not, feel free to type a follow-up for that if you'd like. If your child is part of the personal preference program, can they still qualify for DDD services? The answer to that question is absolutely yes. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the personal preference program, this is a Medicaid program that is strictly through your insurance provider. So whoever the managed care organization is, it might be Cigna, Aetna, Horizon, United Healthcare. In order to qualify for PPP, all you need is a script from your doctor, which is for a personal care assistant, and it has to have your child's diagnosis on it. And you will contact your managed care organization / insurance company and let them know that you have a script for a personal care assistant, but that you're interested in the personal preference program. The personal preference program allows families to either pay someone they know, so it might be a family friend, it might be an adult sibling of your child. You can hire them, so to speak, and pay them to support your child. Parents and guardians can receive this income as well. What happens is when you let them know you're interested in the personal preference program, they will send out someone to do an assessment to see if your child qualifies. And if they do, they're typically allotted a number of hours per month. It's completely separate from DDD. The personal preference program does use a fiscal intermediary, which means your check does not come from the insurance company. It will come from the fiscal intermediary. So it used to be public partnerships. There are now insurance companies that are switching over to a company called Palco. So the family will have to name an employer of record, and you have to enroll with the fiscal intermediary, but you can get walked through that process through your insurance company. So again, the biggest thing I want to stress is that this is totally separate from DDD. Through DDD, you can access a whole vast array of different services, and they do also offer something called self-direction, which is where you, the parent, can use DDD's fiscal intermediary, which is Acumen, and you can hire your own employees as well. Again, you can hire siblings, you can hire family friends, a parent or guardian can be hired as an employee. However, the money to pay those individuals will come from their DDD budget. So in the personal preference program, the money is coming strictly through Medicaid funding, whereas on the DDD side, it's coming from the DDD budget. So it is a bit different. But yes, someone can be enrolled in the personal preference program and still qualify for DDD, which is amazing. I received an email today that said my son received an intake worker from DDD. Okay, so I'm going to assume maybe that is someone that's going to sort of help you through the eligibility process. And you done that too as well, Deetra. So yes, that is my guess. If it was from DDD, it would be one of their enrollment individuals, because if it was support coordination, you would be hearing directly from the support coordination agency. What services does DDD entail after they finish the transition program at 21? I'm new at this. Well, a lot of people are new at this, and so you've come to the right place. And so yeah, there I actually have an entire presentation where I can send you guys the link to a pre-recording of that, where I talk all about the different services that you can use and receive if you're eligible for DDD. And I give a brief overview about all of those services, as well as break down sort of what the DDD budget means as well. So some of the services you can get are things like day habilitation, where they can go to a day program, environmental modifications, assistive technology, vehicle modifications, things like tutoring, equine therapy, art and music and gym memberships, all of the therapies like PT, OT, and speech. There's also employment-related services like job coaches, also known as supported employment, pre-vocational training, personal emergency response devices. And that's not the entire list, but that just sort of gives you an idea. But there are many different services that you can access if you are eligible for DDD. Okay, question. Do you have any suggestions for handling someone who's 50 and just trying to get DDD services? We've had our interview, NJCAT assessment, but we're waiting to hear back. Hoping to get as much information as possible now. My sister has Down syndrome and I'm her legal guardian. Okay, thank you for all of that information, Trish. That's helpful. It is not too late, and I think it's amazing that you are helping your sister even at this age to get services. My suggestion would be to just follow the process. So if you had your NJCAT, basically what's going to happen is someone will reach out to you and let you know that you need to choose a support coordination agency that you want to work with. So that's something like our agency could provide, for example. That's what we do. One of the things I would highly suggest is for you to email me, which actually I'm going to put this slide up now for you guys so that you have my email information. But email me and I could send you links to a couple other presentations that I give. The one I just mentioned a minute ago about all of the different DDD services, it talks about the DDD budget. But I would also start thinking through what maybe some of the goals your sister has. How, what is she doing during the day right now? Is she living at home? Do you foresee her living at home, for much longer? One of the other things I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, is to put your sister on the community care program waiting list. And this is something I would recommend for all parents, even if you're young or younger, I should say. So when someone is eligible for DDD services, they are typically enrolled onto what's called the supports program waiver. There is another waiver program in DDD, and that's called the Community Care Program, also known as the CCP waiver. And this waiver is designed for individuals who have parents who are getting older. They might have higher support needs. They might absolutely need to live in a group home setting. But what it does is it adds an additional budget component, or a budget category, I should say, to their budget. And again, I break this down in some of my other presentations. And so what it will do is it will allow more money for supports that someone might need either in their home or out of the home. If someone is ever going to live in a residential group home, they have to be on this community care program waiver. And so for someone who has parents where both parents are over 50, they can ask to be enrolled onto this priority wait list. But there is also a general wait list. So like, let's just say you're in your 40s, your child's just turning 21, I would still request to be put on that wait list, because there eventually will come a time when you may not be able to care for your child as much as you want, or you might not be able to do as much as you used to, but you are going to need more help. Therefore, you're going to need more money in your budget. Or your child really, it's really designed because your child, as they age also, are going to need additional support most likely as well. So that is something I would do also, is to look into that community care program waiting list, get on that waiting list. I could also send a link to DDD's website that talks all about that. They actually have a webinar presentation all about the community care program waitlist. So I'd be happy to send that to you. Okay. Will we get an email with the questions and answers of this presentation? That probably would be a good idea. I don't typically record this. However, I probably should in the future. And so I appreciate you mentioning that. I will say though that all of these questions that have been asked so far, the answers are in other presentations that I do give. And so again, I'm happy to share those links with everybody attending tonight. Okay, my son is 19 and has been homeschooled for the past few years, but did not get his diploma or GED. I understand the district offers transition services. Is it still possible to reach out to the district to be re-enrolled and get the transition services till age 21? So my initial thought would be yes. However, like, unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with that through your district. So if your district does offer transition services, and I guess my one question would be, when he was in school there, did he have an IEP? Because if he did, he would qualify for special services. And so, you know, you can re-enroll a student at any time back into public school if you are homeschooling. And if the district offers those services, I would think he would still be eligible. If they say not, I would definitely recommend finding a local advocate who might have more experience in that area. This isn't something like I do have much experience in, but my gut would say if he qualifies still for special services and they have a program, they might let him back in. Do you find the different support coordinators, and how long do you have to find one after you are approved? That's a great question. There is a place out of Rutgers University called the Boggs Center. It's B-O, B as in boy, O, G as in giraffe, G as in giraffe, S, Boggs. And the Boggs Center on Developmental Disabilities out of Rutgers University, they put out an entire list of support coordination agencies in the state. They also have a great pamphlet, what to look for in support coordination agencies. And so you can do a Google search and just do a search for support coordination agency list in New Jersey, and it should pop up. It's a PDF document. And just to warn you, there's over 100 different agencies throughout the state. They are listed in alphabetical order. It will list like the contact information. If there's a website, it will also list all of the counties that the agency serves. Like you can see on this slide here, what counties, it's the end of the day, guys, I'm so sorry, which counties the agency provides services in. So that is how you can find that. What is the exact website to access for community care program? It is on DDD's website, but the easiest way to find it is to just do a Google search that says NJCCP waiting list, and the website should pop up. Again, Jill, if you want to email me, I could send you the link over if that would be helpful. Okay, next question. When's the best time to get on the waiting list if your child has not finished the transition program? I've heard that it could take up to 5 to 10 years. Yes, it could take 5 to 10 years for your child to get to sort of the #1 spot on the list. So when you're put on the community care program wait list, you know, you might be number 1,323. And then throughout the year, you'll get update emails saying, you know, you're now 1,205. So you will get updates. And it takes several years. You cannot go onto the community care program wait list until your child is approved for DDD services. You know, you have to be found eligible for DDD, and then you can basically fill out that form. I don't think they allow you to do it any earlier, at least I have not heard. And so that's what I would say, is just wait. And then as soon as you get that official notification that they're DDD eligible, you can go ahead and fill that out. All right, my son's biological mom passed away when he was 6. So now instead of SSI, he gets SSDI, which throws him over the threshold for Medicaid by $10. Don't you love that? So now they're telling us we have to wait until 90 days before he is 21 in hopes that we can get an emergency waiver so he can get DDD services. We will not survive if we have no services after 21, as he is severe and needs constant supervision. Are there any other options for us? I was told prior that there was an ABD Medicaid. Now it's seeming like there's not. Is there any other option for us? Or do I need to get a lawyer? I can't obtain a CMO or a day program. Okay. I have heard of parents passing away. Sometimes parents retire. And I'll throw this out, Sharon, is that this is not my area of expertise. However, I have had families that I've supported in the past that have walked through what sounds very similar to this. And there is a status typically that the individual, your son, would need to be placed, or I guess, I don't know what the right terminology is, but it's called a DAC status. It's D as in dog, A, C as in cat, and it stands for disabled adult child. And what typically happens is when someone is getting SSDI, it tends to put them over that allowable threshold. And then if they do have Medicaid, they lose it. But the individual needs to be switched over to a DAC status. And then typically there are no issues. I would highly recommend reaching out to a resource that actually is part of the Family Resource Network, and they are called NJWINS, W-I-N-S. NJWINS is amazing. So they typically will walk families through issues where someone is working and then their income is too high, and then they're told they're losing their Medicaid, which then, you know, puts them at risk for losing their DDD eligibility. But I have sent families to them for issues like this as well, and I absolutely believe that they will be able to help you. So do a Google search, NJWINS. They actually have a quick intake form on their website. It's totally free. And I'm sure that they will be able to help you out with that. So good luck. There has to be hope for that. I just know there is. It's just finding the right resource, and I think NJWINS will definitely be able to help. Yes, and even if he's 19, he'll be 20 in May. That really shouldn't matter because you know, someone could be eligible for Medicaid at the age of 18, so I don't think that should matter. So if you don't see your county on the list, it just means that we do not provide support coordination in your county. And part of that reason is because the Family Resource Network provides direct support services within certain counties like Essex, Middlesex, Camden, Union counties. And because the Family Resource Network, which is our affiliate, because they provide direct support services like respite, community-based supports, individual supports, DDD does not allow us to also provide support coordination in those counties. So unfortunately, we are not completely statewide, although we have just opened up in Ocean County, which is very exciting. Right, let's see, it's almost 7 o'clock, but I do have more questions, so I'm gonna keep going. Denise has asked, do you have to wait until your child is 21 to sign up for the community care waiver? No. Again, it is a wait, well, so in a sense, yes. Let me rewind now that I'm reading that again. So you have to be eligible for DDD services. So you can apply to DDD at the age of 18, but you cannot begin to actually use the budget and receive services until your child turns 21. And so typically families will find out that they are eligible for services when their child's still 20 and they're nearing. And I would just say ask your intake worker, and they could let you know if you could fill it out sooner, because there is sort of like this lag time sometimes where you're found eligible, but you can't actually access the money yet in the budget because the child hasn't turned 21 yet, but you would still be considered quote unquote eligible. So I think you could still fill out that form, but you could ask your intake worker at DDD and they will help you. How do you get a DAC status? I do not know the specifics on that. I believe it's certain paperwork that just has to be filled out. From what I know, it's like a specific Medicaid status. Again, I think NJ Wins will be able to help you with that, because I really am not sure with that. It's not something I typically do. How long does it take for DDD to get back to you once you apply? So once you fill out that application, in all honesty, it just depends on how old your child is. So like the example earlier where the sister's 50, you're typically going to hear back from them pretty quickly. If you're filling out the application as soon as your child turns 18, you still will typically hear from them, I would think, within 3 to 4 weeks, I believe. Again, don't quote me on that, but that's sort of what I've heard from families in the past. Where does the DDD budget come from? So it is state funding through New Jersey, through the state of New Jersey. Everything is billed through Medicaid, but the actual funding is coming from the government. Okay, let's see. I think I got through all of the questions. Just double checking. Yes, I believe I got through all of the questions. Again, if you guys have any questions along the way through this process, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I have my email address there. Our office phone number is there as well. I know some of you said you're emailing me now, so yeah, if you want links to other presentations that I give, if you have specific questions either now or that might come up, 6 months from now. One of the great parts of my job is helping families walk through this very intimidating, very confusing process for families. And so please don't hesitate to reach out. All right, so with that, I guess we will sign off for tonight. This live Q&A is typically offered every month. Definitely keep an eye out on the Family Resource Network's social media accounts for upcoming live question and answer times. But for now, I hope you all have a wonderful evening and we will talk soon. Take care.